as we talk to Jessica Campbell.
We're going to talk a little bit about the golf tournament you have coming up in Rocanville. I know that's a big thing for you. We'll touch on that, but I guess just first and foremost, tell us about your year in the off season, and obviously your first year in the National Hockey League. How did it go?
I mean, it was full of everything. I mean, high highs and low lows. I think I experienced everything a coach could possibly experience in their first year. Obviously, I think we are on our way in Seattle. I'm extremely grateful and privileged to be in the position that I am and get to do what I love every day. This has always been, the dream to be in the National Hockey League. So to get to show up and coach these guys, process, it's a huge, huge honor. But then at the same time, there's a job to do. And so obviously our season didn't go, to plan. There was changes at the end of the season. So now we're kind of in another step. So I'm embracing all of the change and excited to see what we can accomplish next year, but just growing through it, and everything is experience, everything is lessons learned. And so I'm just moving forward through it and taking, as much as I can through every person and trying to be a better coach every day.
So what we like to do on our show, mainly talk to Saskatchewan folks and kind of go through the journey. Obviously, you don't just land in the National Hockey League. There's a lot of years and work that goes into it. So going back to starting out, do you remember the first time you put on skates? Like, what are your first memories in hockey?
Yeah, that was in Sask. Gosh, I mean, I think of so many different memories, but I have very clear, vivid memories just at the rink in Rocanville and Elkhorn, Manitoba. We skated there a lot because it was grid roads away from our farm. So between the two, just my parents dropped us off and we were playing tag and skating and shinny with any kid that was in the rink, whether it was 5 of us or 20 of us. I think about the Sandheims, like we grew up with those boys playing against them and with them. And I just fell in love with being on the ice. I loved it. I loved skating. I loved any opportunity to play. And so a lot of my memories were growing up playing boys hockey through pretty much every level through Saskatchewan until I was 16 years old and took the step to the next level with the women's game and moved away from home to BC. But yeah, everything that my core makeup is built in the prairies.
And your mom, she was a player, right? She was probably one of your first coaches. Tell us about, I guess both your parents, but obviously big influences there.
Yeah, huge, huge influences. My mom, we still joke. She always reminds me that she still has eligibility left with the U of S. She was the Huskiettes back then. And she's about a year or 2 left. But no, I mean, we had the true prairie upbringing. I had 2 older brothers and older sisters. So I was the youngest of 4. My mom and dad coached kind of all of us or just showed up and volunteered. And so I was really fortunate that, my mom was behind the bench of our boys teams, opening up the gate and modeling for me in many ways, which, I look back on now, that you could do anything, and maybe in untraditional spaces or in ways. She just showed up and was a leader. She's a teacher. And she gave her time and energy in so many ways to sacrifice for us kids to do what we loved. And so, I can't think of any moments where my mom and dad didn't just fully jump on board to take us to the tournament or, like I said, drop us off at the rink to have some fun and skate and play and burn some energy. But they're huge, huge pieces in my journey. I would definitely not be where I am today had, my mom and dad not modeled what it took and the sacrifice that it would take along the way.
We ask almost everybody, especially the Sasky players that we've had and coaches, is when you go back to your parents, did they push? How were your parents, and what do you remember about them in those formative years?
Yeah, I think we had a balance of both. You speak to the 80s and 90s. I think that was what I knew too. We were pushed, and people always ask me, how'd you end up in hockey? I'm like, I don't know if I had a choice. So that might answer your question right there. I was walking and having skates on my feet at the same time. So, but I loved it. But I know my sister and I talk about this a lot because we both had college careers, and we kind of laugh now as grown adults, you know, but she has kids, and we're like, well, would you have done things differently? And, you know, for me, what I was really fortunate with my parents was just that they saw that I loved it. And so then they kind of fed it piece by piece of, hey, you know, you have to play other sports. Like we played baseball all summer. We didn't play hockey year round. Like I never played summer hockey and traveled, you know, to the big city and did all that. I played baseball, and that helped me as an athlete. And I think it also was a way for me to learn that you have to be more than just a hockey player. And that was something, I don't know whether my parents strategically did or not, but they still pushed us to get involved in other things, whether it was school or not. But I will say this, my mom, she's a teacher, and she's still teaching today in Rocanville. And anyone from Melville would know my mom was, you know, billet coordinator for the Millionaires. She got her hands on everything she could to get involved with hockey. But she showed up at the gym, opened up the key to the school, and she would have us run back and forth, jump up and down. Like we were doing little training sessions when we were 10, 12 years old. So I guess you could say she pushed us hard, but I loved it because it was something to do.
I'm supposed to ask you what does the name Leo Parker mean to you?
You guys are hitting me with all the OGs. Well, Leo, so that's my dad's best friend. He was my first minor hockey coach in Melville. And when I say minor hockey coach, we moved from Rocanville to Melville just the year before Josh passed. And Leo was probably my first coach that I had that really instilled values in me and taught me lessons in the game. I'll never forget, I tried out for AA, which was the first opportunity with the Millionaires. This was Pee Wee. I guess we're 11, 12 years old. I was the only girl trying out, and I made the team. And our very first practice, again, I was doing other school sports, and we had a rule: no one's late. No one's late for practice. And, you know, I remember telling Leo that I had a volleyball practice and I would be showing up, you know, right on time. I'd be getting on the ice just on time. And I was 2-3 minutes late stepping on the ice. And this, you know, 12-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid. And as soon as I stepped on the ice, and if anyone who knows the old Melville Stadium, like the step down to the ice is about 3 feet. Every kid falls. It was just the best thing visual back in the day. I stepped on the ice and he blew his whistle down, like hard blew his whistle down, and he lined up every kid on the goal line. He started to skate us. And then after everyone was, you know, a few reps, stopped and said, why are we skating? And it's because of Jessica, and she's late, and we have a no late rule. And that moment I still think about to this day as a coach, because I'm like, that's the standard of excellence. Like, you want to set a standard for anyone at any level, don't deviate from it. That was the expectation, whether I had an excuse or not, or communicated or not. That was the standard asked. And so I think for me, those formative years under Leo's guidance was kind of an old school way of, you know what, you're not treated any differently, so don't expect anything different. And I think that actually guided me down this path to demand, why can't I do anything that the boys can do as well? So I look to Leo every day. He came to the home opener this year. The joy and just the love and support that the Parkers have given me through my entire journey, it's next to none.
Want to be a coach, or when did you first have the thought of, okay, this is where my journey is going to take me?
Well, when I finished playing, so my journey as a player came to kind of an abrupt ending. I was one of the last cuts before the Olympic centralization, before the 2018 cycle. And so I was kind of like faced with the roadblock of what do I do from here? I was actually working for Sheldon Kennedy in Calgary, doing a lot of child advocacy work as well. And that's when I needed a change. And the coach that I actually moved to Kelowna, BC, David Roy, is a huge mentor for me, kind of showed me the way. He gave me a job and said, come to Kelowna And I said, I'm not ready to coach. I don't even know if I want to coach. And he's like, but you're a great teacher of skating, and it was your best skill. And I was always running his camps in the summer, because as female hockey players, like, we didn't make a ton of money or really any at all. So I was always running camps and doing things to just kind of compensate my playing journey, to be honest. And so I knew I loved
I love it.
Yeah, I was hustling, and I knew I loved teaching skating. So when he said, come to Kelowna, I mean, who doesn't want to move to the Okanagan? I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And that's when it became very clear to me, this is what I love to do. I could be on the ice 6 hours a day. My feet would be blistering, and I would be so pumped to get back on the ice the next day. That's when it became very clear to me I loved coaching.
You've got this golf tournament that's coming up in July. Tell us about the idea. What made you want to do this?
So full circle, obviously, especially in this off season, this idea kind of came to fruition the last couple months. I talked to Brad Hickman, who's been a phenomenal leader in our community for many years. And I was talking with Brad. I'm like, I want to do something back home, and just, I think I feel very, very grateful in so many ways of all of the people back home, not just in Rocanville and Melville, but everywhere. Every community has had a piece of this journey in a way for me. And I think, when I left home to go take the step to reach another level, it wasn't about leaving Saskatchewan. It was what was right for me in that moment. And I think so many people supported me taking the untraditional route, or moving away from home to sacrifice and do things a different way. And that honestly came to financial dollars. And David Roy, I bring him up again because he gave me a scholarship to move to Kelowna. He pretty much put groceries on my billet's table and paved the way for me to do it in so many ways. That's why I went back and worked for him, and that's why I'm in this position. But same things, I applied for a Potash Corporation academic scholarship when I was in high school, where my dad was working. He's now retired, which is super exciting. But, I think about, had I not got that support from the Potash Corp, I would never have went to Cornell University. I would never have been able to afford to. And who knows where I would have ended up as a player and as a coach. So really full circle, I think the term prairie built means a lot to me. It's a testament of community, what small towns are built on, the support of just showing up at a rink and being there for young kids to find their love for the game or for sport. And so my hope is through this event, as an inaugural event, we've had so much support. Even NHL guys are jumping on board to do everything they can to help us raise funds. My hope is that we can raise and start this scholarship fund where we can now help other kids similar to where I was to take that next step, whether it's university support or an academic lift or a scholarship lift, to be able to challenge themselves, whether it's in the prairies or not. It doesn't matter, but it's to help kids come out of small towns and just to testify, how being from small towns is strength, and that we need to celebrate that more and more and bring some awareness to it. So it's full circle for me, and it means a lot. It's definitely close to home.
Yeah, July 19th. I think there's still spots available to golf. There's still sponsorship opportunities, and the auction is like unreal, right? Like, you've got a little bit of everything. You've got a lot of NHLers who have donated experiences. I see there's like a experience against the Oilers, the Jets, the Leafs, and then a best of Seattle experience. There's a lot to do in Seattle too, right? You're going to host that?
Yeah, that one you'll be stuck with me. So whoever wants to take in Seattle. And if the Mariners are in playoffs, we're going to add to it. That could also be another add-in, hopefully. But
that was Jessica Campbell, the 32-year-old Saskatchewan native. What a great story. The full interview, again, is at the Monday Nooner podcast. It's about 45 minutes long. That was about 12 minutes. So much more in that interview. If you want to go and listen to it, you can download it for free anywhere you download podcasts.